Thanks everyone for being here. I know it's the last day. I don't want it to be the last day, but yeah, what can you do? Um, yeah, so welcome to my talk. It's mostly about like building full stack applications. How many of you have you built like a Dart server at some point? Okay, that's nice. How many of you have used like Dart for that? Okay, yeah, that's nice. So yeah, pretty much my talk it's how to build a full stack app for specifically Apple Wallet passes. I don't know if you've like developed for Apple Wallet before, but yeah, it's gonna be more centered on the Apple Wallet part, and I wanted to build like the whole feature. But yeah, we're gonna talk about that. So first of all, who am I? My name is Marcos. I'm a senior engineer at Very Good Ventures. I also love open source. I'm an open source contributor on these packages here. Um, the third one, actually, it's mine. So if you want to check it out, you can, yeah, you can use it. And actually, I'm a contributor on the Apple PassKit package. And yeah, that's the one we're going to be using today. Also, Dartfrog and more famous stuff like the very good CLI. This is pretty much the agenda that we have for today. And first, I'm gonna give you like some context, then get into like what is Apple Wallet, how can you use PassKit and stuff. And yeah, first it's like native, how we do it natively on iOS, and then we're going to Flutter, right? It's like a translation there. So the context is pretty much like we had this client that needed like Apple Wallet passes because they were an airline. And yeah, there was like this part of like research where I had to go and see if there's like any package that does it. There are like native packages that just like call the add to a wallet native button and things like that. But yeah, I wanted something like better, right? I like Dart, so I don't like to just call a native method. And I needed things like models, for example, to like model the passes, change the properties, and things like that. So yeah, that's pretty much the context. So what is Apple Wallet? You probably, if you have an iPhone, you use Apple Wallet to get into a conference, for example, have your event ticket and things like that. It allows us to like interact with our iPhone and also Apple Watch and manage things like payment cards and boarding passes and things like that. Pretty useful, nice stuff, and yeah, pretty good designs too. If you want to check more, there's a link there. But yeah, and what is Apple PassKit? So PassKit is actually like a framework that you can also use on Android, but I'm going to talk about the Apple implementation of it. And pretty much PassKit for Apple, it's like Apple Pay and Apple Wallet. So PassKit allows you to like process payments through Apple Pay, like your credit card and things like that. And then you can also do the passes stuff and distribute your passes and yeah, use it pretty much to events, boarding, to flights, and things like that. So yeah, this is pretty much the implementation for Apple. Now, if you want to implement this, like just with Swift, you're gonna check like the documentation and you're gonna see a project like this. This is the native structure of a server, and basically it has some components there. So we have like the sample passes just for us to like show on the application, and then we have like a server reference where we have like a Ruby server that does all the functionality that you need. So for example, you need to like when you, for example, sign an Apple application, you want to have like a certificate. I'm sure you've already do like that kind of stuff. And yeah, it's pretty much the same for passes. So for them to be like valid, you need to have a certificate that has like the permission to generate stuff for Apple Wallet. And then you need to save that on the server. You cannot do that on the application, or at least you shouldn't, right? Yeah, it's pretty much that. That's why we need like a server to do that. And then it's going to generate something like the files on the sample folder, and that's going to be all the files that pretty much make up for the pass, right? So it has some PNGs for the icons. It also has like a pass.json with all the information that it needs. And also, we have a server, pretty much like HTTP server, REST API or something like that. And then we have like the actual functionality that it's the most fun part to implement because you need to sign the passes, and there's a lot of crypto in there, like cryptography, not the coins. So yeah, that's super fun to do. Super fun, not that fun. But yeah, that's pretty much the structure that you want to do. And yeah, those are like images for you to check out. That's how it's gonna look pretty much if you do it well. Um, yeah, so how can we do that for Flutter, right? Because yeah, we want to do that for Flutter. So there's a cool package called PassKit made by Jonas over here. So yeah, shout out to him. Yeah, PassKit pretty much allows you to create like the models and yeah, have like every property maps everything, and also it allows you to like sign the passes. You just need to provide things like the certificate. But yeah, you can. It's pure Dart, and you can use it on the server. So that's amazing if you want to just like sign the passes. And yeah, pre-plug and play for things like Dartfrog. And also, if you want to like call the native methods on your application, you can use the Apple PassKit package, and that's more of like a plugin that is gonna call like Swift code to actually like add the pass to the Apple Wallet app. The other tool I really like to build this project is Dartfrog. If you're not familiar with Dartfrog, it's a minimalist backend framework for Dart. And it's pretty easy because it's like a file structure. So everything you have for your API, for resources and things like that, is going to be like a typical folder file structure. So yeah, pretty easy to do endpoints with it. If you haven't checked it out, yeah, I totally suggest you do. And if you have any questions, I'm also a contributor and maintainer of Dartfrog. So yeah, we can talk about that after the presentation. So how's the like actual flow of this? So pretty much I have a Flutter app that is going to create using the PassKit package, a pass model that is going to be called like pass structure. And then this pass structure is going to be sent like through a HTTP request to the API. Then the API is going to have like a dependency on PassKit that is going to sign the pass, and it's going to save it on a database. You could also just like return the signed pass and that's it. But yeah, I wanted to make it cooler and say like I have a database. So yeah, you save it on the database. And also you give it back. You give like all the encoded pass, and then you get it on the application. You present it, and then if you want to like add the functionality to add it to the wallet, you can just like call the Apple PassKit package, and that's pretty much it. All right. So I had to translate Ruby to Dart, as you saw before, and yeah, that's the emoji that was pretty close to Ruby, but it's not a Ruby. Yeah, I know. Yeah, and that's a Dart. So yeah. So for the architecture, I'm also like the author of this article. I don't know if you've read it, but yeah, if you want to know more about the architecture we use at VGV, you can totally check it out. It's like more of like explaining how we got to the architecture and why we use it. And yeah, it's pretty flexible, so you don't need to like follow every step, but it's like giving you like the cues and how you could like model your application, and that's what we use internally. So yeah, we have a lot of open source code, like for examples to this article. So yeah, you can totally check it out. I don't have a link. You just type like very good Flutter architecture, and it's the first one. So yeah. All right. So I love architecture. It's one of my favorite topics. So this is pretty much the whole architecture for the feature. Obviously, I have other packages like user repositories and things like that to manage user stuff. But yeah, this is just like the PassKit feature, to say the least. And then the app stuff is going to be in blue. The API stuff is going to be in like purple, and orange for the reusable stuff, right? Since we have a code base that supports Dart, and it's like both Flutter and Dart for like the backend and the front end, we can have packages like API models. And since PassKit is also pure Dart, we can have it on both and use the same model. So that's one of the cool things about making a full stack application with Dart. You can just share stuff and it just works. You don't need to like learn another language or something like that. Um, so yeah, pretty much the way it works is like I have um, the API first. I have the DB client where I store like the passes on the database, and also I have the pass data source. That's gonna be like how I'm gonna depend on PassKit to sign the passes, right? And it's pretty reusable. This is open source, so you can use it on your projects if you want. Just like import the package, and yeah, it's pretty plug and play. Um, yeah, the other thing is on the application, I have the API client, of course, to call the Dartfrog API. And I have the pass repository, which is going to be like sending the request to the API client and mapping the data. Also, I have the reusable ones. I have API models that I have for the database, and those are shared. Those can be just models too, if you want. This is not like the Dart workspace kind of monorepo. It's just like a previous way I did it. But yeah, this is like the whole architecture, and then depending on the Apple PassKit package to actually like call the native code, right? So you don't need to do this. You don't need to check like everything here. Just focus on the link. That's pretty much what you need to like set up. As I said, you need to go to certificates. You need to save them and have it on the server so you can actually do the sign-in, right? These are all the steps. Feel free to check those out on the PassKit repo. Yeah, there's a guide for that. Pretty thorough. And yeah. So we're going to go to the demo. If you want to check the code yourselves, this is the link. It's just PassApp under my profile in GitHub. So yeah, I'm going to go and change here so you can see code. So yeah, pretty much is like a typical, I don't know if it's OK, like that. I think it's better. So I have like a typical Flutter app. I have a packages folder where I have like some reusable stuff, and I have the API folder with the Dartfrog project. So yeah, we're gonna go to Dartfrog first. Well, I have the DB client user repository and the pass data source. So this is like the important part, basically. It depends on the API models package and also the DB client to store things. We have PassKit and we have UID just to like generate IDs for the project. And also, shout out to Dartfrog Lint, which is a new package for the Dartfrog ecosystem where you can have your custom lints for Dartfrog. And then if I go here, pretty much I have the pass data source that has like a dependency on the DB client, and also it has like the PassKit functionality. So this is already, when you create a pass, you have this PK pass model that is going to be like having all the structure that you need for the pass, right? So the cool thing about this is that when you create a PK pass model, you get access to a method called write, and that's the thing that is going to sign the package. So what we expect here, it's like the unsigned pass, that is pretty much just the structure that we want for our pass. Then we expect like 2 files, which if you read the configuration docs, you're gonna like generate. And those are gonna be the pass certificate and the private key, right? So we're gonna pass that to that method. We're gonna go and just like copy and generate like a serial number, like a random one. That's why I use UID. And then basically we get the pass with serial with this, that is pretty much like the pass with an ID. And then we use the write method. So the write method is going to take like the string files, and then it's going to return you binary data, pretty much like a uint list. So then if the binary data is null, you fail to create the pass. Otherwise, you return the data, and that's pretty much it. We have other methods here to just like read from the database, so I'm not going to explain those. Those are pretty self-explanatory, and you can check the code after. But yeah, I'm going to like stop on the important parts, right? So that's the pass data source. And for example, for the Dartfrog project, I have a folder called data. If you check, I mean, on the public project, I just have like save your certificates to this directory, and you can check them here. I have my private key. I'm not going to open it. I have the certificate, the pass certificate, and yeah, those are the files that we're going to read and then pass to the pass data source. So now that I have that, Dartfrog has the routes folder, and then I can like, these are pretty much the endpoints. So users, it's like API/users and things like that. So as I mentioned before, it's file-based. So yeah, here, for example, I provide via Dartfrog my past data source. Since my DB it's like initializing asynchronously, I had like an extension to read async and then create the past data source. So that's the middleware I need for the endpoint. And then let's check here. So yeah, this is like the post method that I have. I read the past data source, then I pass pretty much if there's no user ID, it's about request. Then I parse the JSON inside. I have an asset with the Fluttercon logo, so I have the event logo file here. I read it, and I create the unsigned pass, right? I just have the pass data that is coming from the application. I'm gonna send it to it, and then it's gonna like create the actual pass on the server. It's gonna be unsigned, so I'm gonna pass it to the pass data source. I'm gonna sign it with the files I need, and then I just create it on the pass data source, which is gonna like be calling the DB client, and then yeah, pretty much like just passing the pass ID. So that's pretty much the core functionality that I have on the Dartfrog side. The other parts are mostly like retrieving passes and things like that, so it's pretty simple. Not gonna explain those. And then, yeah. So here, pretty much I have like API models where I have all the models I need for the API for a pass. I call it user pass and other user models. I reuse it there. Then I have the API client, which is just like calls to the API, same as before, just using the PassKit models and things like that. And yeah, that's for the app packages, and then we're gonna check the actual feature that is like using PassKit here. So what I have is it's like a sub feature that I call create pass under my home feature, and this is gonna be a block that is gonna be creating the pass and then calling the repository to pass all the requests, right? So we're gonna have that as a form. We're just gonna fill out the fields from the form and then create the model based on that. And then we're gonna have this event pass request class that pretty much I just ask for name, title, and company. And then if you check here, I have a method that is to pass data. I parse this information here and I pass it so I can like build the whole pass structure, right? So yeah, this is pretty much like boring code. It's just like configuration for the pass, and then here it's a cool part. I create the pass data. You need to pass things for Apple like the team identifier and things like that. I have them as a environment variable here, and then yeah, like color stuff and styling. So yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much the feature, and then if you check pass detail, you're gonna check the pass detail block. This is the other part where I use Apple PassKit. So I have a block that has it requires a PK pass that I'm gonna pass it. It's just a detail screen, so I pass the PK pass there, and then it's gonna have like the Apple PassKit dependency. That's gonna be to first check if the pass library is available. Pretty much Apple Wallet is available, and then if we can add passes, right? These are all methods coming from the plugin, so it's already just like checking, and yeah, pretty easy. So if every condition is true, I add one pass. This is already the native method, so I'm just like clicking add to Apple Wallet here, and yeah, that's the feature. We're good on time. Okay, cool. So let's check here. Yeah. Well, if you use Flutter block before, it's just like adding an event to the block with the pass. And yeah, I mean, there's another package from the like ecosystem or library from PassKit that is called PassKit UI. So this is like pixel perfect Flutter widgets to show your pass on the application. So it's really easy to just like use the, where is it? Okay, the PK pass widget. You just pass your pass. But yeah, that's gonna render everything, and it's like following Apple guidelines and things like that. So yeah, pretty easy to use. Pretty cool library, as I said. So we're gonna run the project just to make sure. As you see, I have the Apple Wallet app there. There's no passes yet. So I'm gonna go to the API and I'm gonna run dartfrog.dev. Then I'm gonna run the application on my editor. But yeah, as it's running, yeah, pretty much I don't have anything right now. I'm gonna go to the home here, and then it's gonna install the application. It's a fresh application there. I use the Cupertino library because it was Apple. But yeah, you can use Material too, or even your custom design system. So I'm gonna create a user. I'm not explaining this because it's like sign up, login. We've all done that. So yeah, gonna do password, the most secure password in history. Yeah, creating an account. I don't have any passes. Then I'm gonna add one here. It's just a basic form. I'm gonna fill out my info. In case you didn't know info about me, that's it. Get my ticket. As you see here, the server is doing all the processing. It's pretty quick. I already have the pass signed, so everything happened in just one small amount of time. And then I can go to the detail of the pass. This is already using the PK pass widget. So as you see, it's pretty much an Apple Wallet pass, like pixel perfect stuff, really easy to use. That QR code is not valid because this is not a production application. But yeah, that's how you can create them. And as you see, I have the Add to Wallet button, which is this one, and it's gonna like add the event to the block, and yeah, pretty much do this function here. So just to make sure you saw, there's nothing on the wallet. There's no tricks, okay? So I'm gonna go back to the application. I'm gonna add to the wallet. As you see, this is gonna call the native method. So this is the like native iOS view, and then I'm gonna add it. So yeah, add it. And if you go back to the Apple Wallet, yeah, it's already there. So yeah, signed pass, all working. If you go to the details, you can check everything is there. You can customize this, of course. You can make it more complex based on the use case. But yeah, this is the working Apple Wallet pass. So that was a demo. In case it didn't work, that's a video, but it worked, so nice. Yeah. So yeah, pretty much the same as you just saw. So special thanks to Jonas. You can reach him out. I use PassKit. I have contributed to it, but he created it, so it's easier if you ask him any specific questions about implementation. I'm sure you had a lot of questions about the cryptographic stuff. That's the fun part. So yeah, thanks for being at the talk. These are my socials, website, Blue Sky, whatever, Twitter. I'm not calling that X. And yeah, LinkedIn if you want to add me. Yeah, thanks.